All right, congratulations. If you're living paycheck to paycheck, this video is for you. I'm going to help you save some money. I'm going to help you get out of this cycle. Now, it's not going to be immediate, okay? This is not an immediate fix. It is setting up a system that is going to help you build habits and repetition, which is going to slowly over a period of time, going to kind of dig you out of that hole and give you a little bit of a financial buffer. So if you're somebody who would like more financial buffer, we're going to talk about a very simple way to do this. Okay, so step one, we need to get crystal clear about our budget. Okay, a lot of times we feel like we don't need to do it, or we're like in our head, like, oh yeah, it's fine. I know how much I need. Okay. We need to get crystal clear about those numbers. We need to write those numbers down, and I'm going to give you some categories of things that we need to get crystal clear about. So we have fixed expenses and we have variable expenses that we can roughly estimate. Is the two categories. Okay, so fixed expenses. My rent or mortgage is always the same amount. My car payment is always the same amount. My credit card, unless I'm spending a lot on it, all should be the same amount. Any personal debt, same amount. Netflix, unless it goes up in price, same amount. Gym, most likely same amount, unless we have once a year we have a membership fee or something like that, which you gotta that can catch you off guard. Utilities. Utilities is hard to exactly measure. However, at least on my utilities app that I have, I can see how much the exact last year's bill cost. So we're in March, so I could check what March 2025, what that bill was for me, and I can estimate roughly what it should be this year, just to give me an idea. And I want to honestly do this on a monthly basis if I can. I just need to get crystal clear about where my money is, okay? Now, once I've identified the crystal clear amount of money that that is leaking out of my bank account on a monthly basis due to living expenses, which is normal, okay? There's no shame here. There's no fear here. This is literally just clarity. All right. You ever heard the phrase, "the truth sets you free"? Okay. So when we get to the truth about our financial situation, we can be set free from that. Okay. So let's just get crystal clear about exactly what our situation is. How much, I want to know how much per month am I spending? How much per month am I spending? Okay. And then I want to know how much per month am I actually taking in, okay? How much per month am I taking in? Now, there's two key things here, all right? There are 4 paychecks per month if you get paid weekly, 2 if you don't, okay? Now, let me explain something to you. If we do the math, 4 times 12 is 48. That means 4 months of the year, there's 52 weeks in a year, 4 months of the year, you get paid 5 times. You get 5 paychecks or 3, depending on if you're biweekly, okay? So let's think about this. So, no, 2. You would get, 5 paychecks or 3 in 1 month. That's, I kind of lost my train of thought there. Okay, so let's get serious about this, okay? So step number 1 is once we get our budget and we realize that those 4 paychecks cover our bills, we now have the opportunity to save over the course of a year 4 paychecks, okay? Let's just say your paycheck is $800, okay? Number 1, that's going to be $3,200, okay? $3,200. Now, we need to be able to capture that paycheck, okay? We're living in paycheck to paycheck. When we get clear, when we realize that 4 paychecks can pay our bills, we have 5 paychecks this month. Let's put that away, okay? Or pay some debt with it, okay? So you have the opportunity to get a free paycheck that doesn't need to be spent for bills 4 times a year, okay? So I want you to think about that, okay? Mathematically speaking. Now, on top of that, when we first do our budget, we're going to identify that generally we're going to have more income than our expenses. And if that is not the case and we're screwed, we need to then go to the point where we eliminate some expenses or get rid of them, maybe Netflix, things like that. I would say in almost every scenario, once somebody gets crystal clear about their budget, they realize that they do have enough money, but suddenly they don't every month. All of a sudden they're living paycheck to paycheck and they're never saving any money, okay? It's because they weren't clear and intentional, okay? So being clear and intentional, capturing extra paychecks, that's one key, okay? But the big thing for me is setting up a system, okay? It is a system, okay? Here's my system. I have multiple satellite accounts. I have a main account that pays bills, okay? In this account, I live paycheck to paycheck, okay? My checking account, I live paycheck to paycheck, okay? However, just like my bills, I have another expense that I've, through my budget, identified that I can afford. A couple $100s from each paycheck for me personally. For you, maybe it's only $20 just to get started, okay? I have this extra bill, and the person that this bill is owed to is me, okay? And you say, well, I'm going to spend that money. No, you're not. I'm going to tell you how to not spend it, okay? We're going to open up something like a brokerage account, like a Charles Schwab, okay? I would do a legitimate one that actually owns your stock just for personal preference, like a Charles Schwab, like a Webull or Robinhood. I don't think you actually own those shares, but you can look into that. You're just owning a receipt of somebody else that owns the shares, so you can't vote on things. Now, you want to put this, once we've identified that we have an amount we're going to pay ourselves, what we're going to do with that is we're going to put it in a place that is harder to access. Put it in a place that is harder to access, okay? That's why I recommended a brokerage account, okay? Because we're able to stack up a little capital in there and we can't spend it because there's no debit card. If you use Charles Schwab like I do, you can put money in there in the form of cash and you don't have a debit card. You don't have to necessarily invest in anything. I personally do, but you can actually direct deposit cash in there, okay? And it can just sit in there in a form of cash if you would like to do that, just to get you started. Now, I don't recommend that. I always want to be making interest on my extra cash, but it's just harder to access. You can't just spend it. It's going to take a few days to transfer back into your bank account if you want to spend it, okay? So it's just a harder process. Now, another thing that I use for something more liquid, if I do need to spend it like immediately, I have a separate bank, a separate checking account at a separate bank. I use a credit union for my second one because it does make interest. And I do not have an app for that bank. It is not necessarily a bank that I would go to. It was just a bank that I can access. I have a debit card for it, but I do not make a habit of using that bank. I don't pay for anything out of that bank. It's just if I need some cash, okay? All I'm doing is I'm just paying myself. I've made the budget. Now I realize there's a little bit I can pay myself. I can put into my budget an extra bill to pay me. And then I put it in a place that is harder to get to than my regular account. Oh, I'm just paying myself in my regular account. No, don't even do it in the same bank. Don't even do it in your savings. It's so easy to just go click, transfer savings to checking. Okay, no, we're not doing that, all right? You got to go to another bank, no app, Make it as hard as possible to touch this money, okay? And that is how we save money paycheck to paycheck. Number one, budget. Number two, we add to our budget an expense. The expense, the extra bill that we have to pay is we got to pay you, okay? We got to pay you, and we got to put that money in a place that's harder to get, okay? So we don't spend it, okay? Now here's the thing. If you're struggling with discipline, how do we overcome that? We create a system that makes it harder for us to destroy ourselves with bad habits, okay? Like I said, Charles Schwab, you can't just go to the debit card. It's going to take a few days to get the money out, okay? And that's what I would recommend. That's how we would save money. Now, here's the other thing. Remember when I said those paychecks, those extra paychecks? You can put that in there. Maybe just put it in the S&P 500, put it in the SPY, and just look up what that is. If you don't know what that is, just look up SPY or Spider. ETF is what I would just Google, and you'd be able to find that. The other thing that I do want to clarify here before we go is we want to direct deposit this money, okay? We want everything on direct deposit. We want everything automatic, okay? The easier it is to save this money, see, if I have to physically go to my bank and get the money, drive to the other bank and deposit it every time, we're not doing that. You want a portion that you can afford, even if it's $20. We want to just be able to split our paycheck. Your employer, if they use ADP, should be able to do that, no problem. ADP does like every employer that I've ever had. So you can do ADP, and they will just, you can just put in there your account and split it to $20, $30. Okay, the other thing that I would recommend is if you work for a big company, let's say Walmart, Amazon, Kroger, something like that, anything that has some sort of a stock, you could also save your money by doing the direct stock purchase plan directly from your company, and you can always sell that stock if you need it, and that way you're saving money through the company that you have a financial vested interest in their success. It's harder to get, and it's growing. So that is my tip. That's how we save money living paycheck to paycheck, okay? Budget. Systems of paying ourselves. Paying ourselves into a place that is harder to spend, okay? And then potentially getting that money to grow via investing it into SPY or some sort of stock like ET that was Energy Transfer that's going to pay 7% dividend. Aries Capital is going to pay you 10%, something like that. Okay, so that's how I would help you save money, paycheck to paycheck. Okay, have a wonderful day.